We have completed our terrain relative navigation. Current speed is about 30 meters per second, altitude of about 300 meters off the surface of Mars. We have started our constant velocity accordion, which means we are conducting the sky crane, about to conduct the sky crane maneuver. Sky crane maneuver has started, about 20 meters off the surface.
We're getting signals from MRO.
Tango Delta.
Touchdown confirmed. Perseverance safely on the surface of Mars, ready to begin seeking the sands of past life. Has confirmed that the parachute has deployed and we are seeing significant deceleration in the velocity. Our current velocity is 440 meters per second at an altitude of about 12 kilometers from the surface of Mars.
Heat shield set.
Perseverance has now slowed to subsonic speeds and the heat shield has been separated. This allows both the radar and the cameras to get their first look at the surface. Radar lock on the ground. Current velocity is about 100 meters per second, 6.6 kilometers above the surface of Mars. Perseverance is continuing to descend on the parachute. We are coming up on the initialization of terrain relative navigation and subsequently the priming of the landing engines. Our current velocity is about 90 meters per second at an altitude of 4.2 kilometers.
OVS valid.
We have confirmation that the lander vision system has produced a valid solution and part of terrain relative navigation.
Priming. TBA is nominal.
We have priming of the landing engines.
Back shell set.
Current velocity is 83 meters per second at about 2.6 kilometers from the surface of Mars. We have confirmation that the
listening to the surroundings. If I could have the first one, please. So that gentle whirl that happens in the background, I invite you to sit back and have a listen to what it would sound like to be on Mars. It's
familiar to us. They look Earth-like in a sense. You see the mountains back there and the rocks and things. It's just it really is the surface of an alien world, and we just arrived. You can also see some more scouring there over on the right. The next image looks over towards the west. You can see the delta out there in the horizon, and again more scouring from the rocket plumes. And then we take all of these images and we stitch them together into panoramas, and so that the next frame shows the full panorama from the NavCam stitched together. We're still working out the calibration and things, so this is approximate color, but it just gives you a feel for the vista here that our new environment that we're going to explore, and we're hoping everyone will join us in seeing these images. Today we're going to be releasing a whole slew of raw images. It's been a fire hose of data, basically. We have thousands. Basically map out the surface as the rover drives, and then we use these images to do planning and things. And so the first thing we did after we deployed the mast is we started imaging the surface. So the next slide shows one of our first images from the cameras. This image is actually in low resolution mode. So it's 1/4 of the full resolution of the camera, so it's been shrunk down. But you can see right there the vista that we're seeing. This is the rover, obviously, on Mars, and you can see some of the material that landed on the deck. But everything looks in good shape, and so we're using these images to inspect not only the vehicle, but the surface around us. The next slide shows the view down towards the surface. You can see the wheels there. This is the same surface you just saw in the EDL cam videos. You can see some of the scouring that the rocket plumes did for us, clean it off, make it nice and clean so we can take pictures of it and dust it off for us. The next slide shows a view looking out towards the south, and this just an amazing scene here. This is
below us. So that was the rover's view looking down. Let's take a look at the descent stage view looking down as well during that sky crane portion of flight. So here we go. The rover begins to drop away from the descent stage, and that's the first part of mobility deployed. You can kind of see here right before we pause that the mobility kind of shook a little bit in that first deployment. Here you can see the bridles that are hanging down from the top of the picture. Those are what's supporting the weight of the rover below the descent stage. And if you look down toward the left, the bottom part of the image and toward the left, you can see that gold umbilical. That's what's transferring all the information between the rover and the descent stage, including this video. This picture is coming down from the camera up on the descent stage down to the rover through that cord, in addition to other information that's going back and forth. So as we keep going here, you can see the bogie deploy. That's on both sides of the mobility back. You see those wheels, the back two wheels on either side swing down. That caused a little, you can kind of see the pack right in the middle as it's being pushed. And the parachute lid, which is right on top of it, it's kind of that circle to the left of the pack, was on top of the pack. And it was there to protect the parachute during entry. It's got some thermal protection system material on it to keep the parachute nice and cool and protected. And the pack is used to push that lid right off the vehicle, given that cannon force. You can also see some of the other things that have popped off of that lid, which is kind of expected given how violent this launch really is. So let's move on from here. So we keep going out here. You can see the pack reach what we call line stretch. So that's as far as it's going to go. It's where the parachute's going to start inflating. That's about 150 feet behind the spacecraft, and it got there in just under 1 second. So this pack is really moving. That's pretty much, as the parachute starts to come out, you can see the pack is rotated about 90 degrees. That's pretty common. We've seen that in some of our testing here on Earth at high altitude as well. So let's keep going and take a look at the inflation.